Hello and welcome to the Adrenal Advantage, where we're going to talk about post-traumatic growth and autoimmune wellness for healers, and I will explain how we are all healers. So we're going to spend the next half hour talking about post-traumatic growth and autoimmune wellness, and I go into greater detail on Facebook at my Facebook page, Post-Traumatic Growth, and also you can find me on Wise Stamp under Lucid Living Soul. And the information here is for entertainment and historic purposes. We're going to be talking about world healing traditions, and if you are ill, seek qualified healthcare from a trusted professional. So why listen to me? So my name is Andreka, and I have a lot of different trainings, but many years ago I was a content curator. I did market research for the major public utility company in California. And so my job was to read 20 different newspapers and online newsletters and whatnot, and so I compiled a database. One of the interesting stories was, so public utility companies rent land where they can have their large transformers, and the farmers will just let their cattle graze underneath the transformers. And so one of the interesting stories was about, there was an article about these cows that were developing tumors under their skin, and one cow gave birth to a ball of fur. So I posted that in the database, and my manager was like, get rid of that article, are you going to try to get me fired? And so this is kind of the thing that interests me, is stuff that's swept under the rug, like things that are real, and but people kind of don't want to talk about it. So a little bit about me: I have certifications in iridology, which is iris diagnosis, feng shui, which is the psychobiology of your living space or your workspace. I'm trained in clairvoyant aura chakra readings, body work. I've done worked at career development centers like Experience Unlimited and Life Plan Center, where I help facilitate people plan out their optimal life. I also was in the beta test of Chris Kresser's Adapt Academy, and currently I am hosting the Functional Forum at our local library here in Missoula. So take a look at my Facebook page or my landing page and get on the mailing list so I can keep you posted about when the next functional forums are. So are you in the right place? So these are the questions to ask. Do you have any pain? Do you feel depressed, anxious? Do you feel unusually tired, like you've aged 20 years, or do you just feel overwhelmed? If so, then you are in the right place for the Adrenal Advantage. And the point of this is to kind of support your adrenals, your fight or flight organs. And so the point of this webinar or this show is it's to entertain with information, to offer some brainstorming, to provide some solutions and some realistic, fast results, and to encourage you that this is our imperative. We are supposed to heal. You are the doctor of the future. That's what Sachin Patel, he's like a big thought leader in the functional medicine world. He says in this talk, through the Functional Forum, I am training my patients not to need me, to become their own doctor. So what might be your goals? And so I just want to encourage you for the next 25 minutes, this time that you're spending watching this and considering this information I'm providing is an investment in your tomorrow. It's an investment in the next 20 years for yourself and your loved ones. And so I encourage you to get your journal or your day timer, piece of paper at the least, and a pen, grab a cup of hot chocolate or whatever, and make yourself comfortable for the next little bit, because this time is for you. It's really valuable, and it may be one of the best things that you do. And if you stay to the end of this program, I'll give you a hint of, like, this is like it's kind of like $1 million lottery that you win. So what might be your goals in watching a video about wellness, well-being? Do you want to feel safer in your body from potential chronic illnesses? Do you want to feel happier, uplifted mood? Do you want to make better dietary choices, like, choosing water over caffeine, or, vegetables and fruit over cupcakes? Do you want to be able to think better, have better sleep, wake refreshed? Just make better lifestyle choices, like laugh more. So what is it that you want for yourself? And maybe take a note. So what is health? So the World Health Organization says that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, rather than the absence of disease or infirmity. So that seems to be kind of like a paradigm shift, because it seems to me in our world that we're like, oh, if I don't have cancer, I'm healthy. There's more to it, and the term well-being is actually subjective. It's what you decide. Do you feel well? And it's not some blood tests. I like this graphic of comparing the United States to other countries. And so this first column is the attainment, like meeting one's health goals. And then this column is the expenditure. So the United States is number one in its expenditure for health, and yet we are 24 in terms of our attainment. So Sweden is number 7 in terms of expenditure, but it's 4 in terms of attainment of health goals. So we're at 24. France spends, it's pretty high up there. It's at number 4 in terms of spending, but it meets its goals. It's at number 3 for meeting its goals. So if we look at other countries, like Uganda is at 168 in terms of expenditure, but it meets its goal. It's 186. So I just think it's of interest that, like Switzerland, it pays number 2, so it's after us. It's just the next country that spends the most, but its attainment of health goals is 8. So what is it that America is doing that it's at 24, and all these countries who are spending less than us are getting more results? So what is stress? And so Hans Selye was the grandfather of stress research. I believe he coined the term stress, but as he was studying the issue, he came to revise his terminology to strain. So stress is to kind of occupy, like stressing is kind of like like pressure is stress. Strain is when something is about to break. And so it seems to me, and a lot of things would validate, that we are in a culture of strain. And so we understand, it's obvious what might strain somebody, like addiction or alcoholism or living next to a toxic waste dump or an abusive boss, but other realms of strain can include loss of social connection, sound pollution. So there can be sound pollution at work. Let's say you're doing maintenance and you're vacuuming, for 4 hours a day. That can wear on your autoimmune system, just the constant loud sounds. Absence of contact with nature is another source of strain. We are partnered with nature. We are supposed to be in nature. Apparently, I believe it's like something like 10 to 20 hours a month. We really should have some contact with nature. And commuting. So being in a car commuting more than like 20-25 minutes a day, that's a big cause of compromising quality of life. So you really want to have your commute less than 30 minutes in order to have optimal quality of life, even if everything else is going well. So you need to have like festive events, things to celebrate life changes. You need to improve sleep if you have insomnia or sleep issues. And definitely get support if a loved one is suffering with illnesses or injuries. Not only does it affect you if you're injured or have chronic illness, but your care providers or your, those closest to you may need support in that situation. So there's a survival trainer, Cody Lundin, and he wrote a book I found really helpful called When All Hell Breaks Loose. And many people have probably talked about this, but one of the things, so you need food, clothing, and shelter. Like, let's say you're stranded out in the desert or in the Antarctic or whatever. Of course you need the basic things to modulate your body temperature and hydrate you or feed you, but you also, like, the most important thing was positive attitude. For survival, the most important thing we need is a positive outlook. Rejection affects us 20 times more than the death of a loved one, and that's from James Maskell's talk on isolation through the Functional Forum of the Evolution of Medicine. And I would like to suggest that when we are on our smartphones all the time, with our kids or even our pets, and we're not having eye contact, we are kind of rejecting what's in real time for the notifications on our phone. And also just the challenges of a Facebook world where people are not quite so adept at social interactions. It can lead to isolation and withdrawal, which ends up feeling like or being rejection. So that can compromise our well-being. And so I'm just going to continue on. So what does strain feel like? What does it look like? So it can result in like clenching your teeth, grinding your teeth at night, getting sick a lot, like all your body systems being off, difficulty breathing, not taking a relaxed breath, making a lot of silly mistakes, or even, like when driving, or you're working on a project on your computer and you accidentally delete stuff and can't retrieve it. Insomnia, nightmares, trouble learning new information. So those can be indicators of strain, just too much stress. Peter Levine writes, trauma is commonplace. So Peter Levine is a well-known trauma therapist, and it seems that we are in a culture of fight or flight, and I have found this to be true. Like, even people who are supposed to be care providers seem to be traumatized. Stuff going on in the news, people want to be informed, and it seems like what is shown on TV or is considered real information is traumatizing people. Not to mention the people who have had horrible experiences, whether it's war or in family or within institutions. There's post-traumatic stress disorder, and there is untreated post-traumatic stress disorder. So why bother? Things, symptoms or syndromes like PTSD is kind of like it's kind of a unattractive, unreputable disease. It's not like a reputable disease like diabetes or cancer. People, they kind of respect that disease, and these emotional diseases don't quite have the same clout. And there can be just neglect of this population with PTSD. And what happens when we kind of consider it like a moral failing on the person's part, PTSD doesn't necessarily get better on its own, and it can lead to the person harming themselves or others. There's a 29 to 45% mortality rate for people with PTSD, and it's not only detrimental to the individual and their family, but it affects the economics of that person's life, their family's life, and the community. And ultimately, post-traumatic growth is possible. Suffering is just optional, and we are meant to heal body, mind, and spirit. So what is the anatomy of post-traumatic stress disorder? So it starts with the activating event, the trigger of the pain, and it seems that there's confusion, the inability to remember the painful situation, or inability to kind of explain it, name it. So when we can't name something, we can't remember something, we can't heal it, because it's sort of like this ephemeral ghost. And then comes guilt and shame, being stuck in this cycle of PTSD. And it's recently been found that guilt and shame, where we get triggered, it actually is in a reward center. So it becomes this self-destructive cycle. So being stuck in PTSD and in a guilt and shame spiral, self-worth can be affected, self-esteem can be depleted, which can lead to anxiety, fear, resentment, depression, and more acute anxiety. So that's what PTSD looks like in a nutshell. So what does post-traumatic growth looks like? So this is about growth in spite of PTSD. And so what it looks like is recovering from post-traumatic stress disorder means that you're able to recall and name the event without going into a syndrome of numbness or dissociation or flooded emotional reactivity. And post-traumatic growth also means that you're able to find meaning in the experience, reclaim self-worth in spite of the experience, or maybe even because of the experience, and your capacity to trust and have empathy for others has been restored, and instead of negative cyclical thinking, you're able to have a realistic perspective about the trauma, and you're committed to your future and taking responsibility for your life. So you're able to kind of progress forward in spite of the trauma that occurred. So I'm going to talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. And so the goal of this presentation in my work is to provide solutions for your soul outside of the box. And it's to make going through hell a little easier. This is like going through hell made easy. And I also intend that this is a natural way to make PTSD, or little portions of it, to go away. And this is going to be autoimmune health first aid, really. And we will be using mental, emotional, and spiritual fitness practices, or that's the goal, is really mental, emotional, and spiritual fitness. And we will be, the point is to make the most of your space, your physical space, the things in your life, and your mindset. And I want to point out that your most valuable real estate, what is your most valuable real estate? It's your body. And even in your body, the most valuable, like El Primo real estate is the space between your ears. So we're going to talk about the parasympathetic system, which is your rest and digest system. So there's two parts of your what's called the autonomic system. So there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And in our culture, we're stuck in the sympathetic nervous system, and that's the fight or flight nervous system. So what we need to do is help the sympathetic nervous system calm down and boost that parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the goal of this material that we are going over. So like I said, there's an epidemic of strain in our life. Modern medicine is really good at radiation, surgery, and prescriptions. However, it hasn't found a way to naturally, without side effects, without ill effects, it hasn't, contemporary medicine doesn't activate the parasympathetic nervous system as a rule. And there's an epidemic as a result of autoimmune diseases, of mental health issues, depression and anxiety. And in my opinion, we're being encouraged to accept disease as the norm and even like as a rite of passage. And again, I just want to say that suffering can be alleviated, healing can occur, the body, mind, and spirit were meant to heal. So what are some of the ways that work for you to activate your parasympathetic nervous system? So one of the things that can be helpful is to do some gentle physical therapy, some gentle stretching. And what I would avoid is first thing doing a yoga class. It's important to wait 90 minutes before you do anything athletic, first thing upon waking, because your body temperature is low. So when your body is cool, your muscles are kind of cold, and that can lead to strain and injury. So you want to wait 90 minutes before any kind of like movement practice that can be intense. I mean, Tai Chi or Qigong, gentle yoga. But if you're kind of like a hardcore yogini, I would recommend just doing low-key physical therapy upon waking. And we need more natural light at the beginning of the day. So opening the windows and blinds of your home or workplace at the beginning of the day, and praying for strength, or meditating, or setting intentions at the beginning of your day, and expecting positive results, that things are going to work out. And even if you have absolutely no faith that something's going to work out, that's a good place to begin. You know, just a little bit, expect a little bit of something to work out. Also, self-endorse. It's important to give yourself credit. If you're noticing that you're having a lot of negative thoughts, I recommend giving yourself credit. Okay, you know, I'm watching this video. I brushed my teeth. I took out the trash. Any little thing that you can give yourself encouragement, that's critical. And when we're using computers and our smartphones or cell phones, it's important to maintain a healthy posture. So rather than hunching over, you know, maybe try to bring your devices up a little higher, or have a pillow under your arm so it kind of keeps you in an upright position, because compressing down is hard on your vagus nerve, it's hard on your diaphragm, and that can actually alter your mood to a negative mood. Drinking filtered water, consuming healthy, like clean foods ideally, and starting your first beverage of the morning with some plain hot water. And in terms of starting your day, making the bed is a popular productivity hack. You know, doing it like bathing, getting dressed, checking your schedule of your plan for the day, and having enough time to meet your bodily needs, listening to music. So those are some good plans, good ideas. And what are other things that come to your mind as we're talking about this? So at the end of your day, like, what do you think might help you best for the end of your day? Do you think like stop watching Netflix at midnight is good, or is like stopping at 10 p.m. good? Or is maybe stopping at 8 p.m. maybe a little bit better? And another thing is like having the kitchen counter surfaces clear, your desk or your dining table, wherever is your workspace, like having it clear for you to be doing something the next day. Because basically when you're planning your day for the next morning, you're actually really being considerate and thoughtful to your future self. And so I would say try to start ending your day at 8 o'clock, and I would avoid streaming videos from the internet and instead getting back to DVDs and just kind of like using DVDs instead of streaming. Turn off bright lights around or even before 8 o'clock at night. And you can also download Flux, which is the, it changes the lighting of your computers to go from blue light during the day to a warmer orange light as the evening progresses. And then towards the end of your day, do a relaxing activity. Reading books, like a hard copy of a book, is supposed to be very relaxing, and even more relaxing than like, I can't remember what the comparison is, but reading books, and I would also recommend avoid reading something very stressful. So read something light and fluffy, because something with a lot of drama might be too distracting. So prep your, at the end of your day, prep your clothes for tomorrow. Make sure your keys and day timer and everything are ready for the next day. So what is your thoughts for your short-term objectives or your long-term goals from what we're talking about? So hopefully you have your pen and paper and you've got some ideas. And I just want, what comes to my mind right now is there was this story I heard about British Petroleum. They would drill for oil, and each attempt cost British Petroleum about $1 million. And so it became pretty expensive. They were like, you know what, we're not going to allow you to drill unless you can guarantee that there's going to be an oil strike. And it had never been done before, that it had to be 100% success rate. But because British Petroleum told their employees this is the way it had to be, the geologists and the whoever, they figured out a way, and since then they had 100% oil strikes for each drill. And I think it's interesting to consider that cancer patients, their treatment it comes up to about $500,000 for each cancer patient. So a cancer patient is valuable, more valuable as having cancer, and there's more people who are employed by the cancer industry than there are people who have cancer. So I just think it's sort of like drilling for oil. People having cancer is sort of like, it's an oil strike, basically. You get two people and it's the oil. So I just want to encourage you to realize that you're your most valuable real estate. Your mindset is the most prime part of your real estate, and you're saving yourself $500,000. And those people who are in the cancer industry will find other jobs. We don't have to get cancer in order for people to have a decent job. There were jobs before the big medical industrial complex existed. So I want to encourage you to make your list of what your short-term or long-term goals for your $500,000 basically. And I would say, if there's one thing I would say, is to focus on your sleep. So when we sleep, it flushes our brain. So our brain, when we get to bed before 11 or 12 midnight, our brain flushes viruses, GMOs, bacteria, and other toxins. And if we're not getting that first sleep at that time of day, we don't have that detox. And so I just really encourage you to focus on improving your sleep to the best of your ability, and improving your sleep at that time, and turning down lights, and kind of just kind of slowing down your day at 8 p.m. is a really good start. So I encourage you to take a look at my Facebook page, Post-Traumatic Growth, and my landing page, my Post-Traumatic Growth, and also I will be hosting an event at the library, the Missoula Public Library in the boardroom on July 24th at 5:30. So please check out any of my pages, send me your email address, and I can send you a link to the information of what the topic will be for this month's functional forum. And I'm going to be doing these functional forums for the next ongoing indefinite time. So I want to thank you so much for your attention, and I want to encourage you to tell me what results you've had in terms of making this list. These this list of 3 things. Whether it's to go to bed a little earlier, or to practice more positive, like give yourself encouragement, or to switch up, water for caffeine, water for coffee. So with that, again, my name is Andrejka Koklia, and I just want to thank you so much for your time and attention, and sending all the best. Hi, and welcome to the Adrenal Advantage, and I just want to wish you all a happy microbiome day. This is the first happy microbiome day that's ever been, and so it's 2018, and on the 28th, I believe, of June 2018 here in Missoula, Montana. So may all of our microbiome flourish in a good way. So, thank you.